Hello and welcome to another Mic'd Up Show spinoff where we decrypt, decode some of the hot topics here in mortgage. And there's no hotter topic when I reach out to lenders than the new CRA Exchange brought to you by Incenter, both on the bank side and on the IMB side. They are both asking how they can participate. But I think a lot of our audience is probably just asking one simple question, Ralph. What is the Incenter CRA Exchange and why was it created?
Well, great question, Michael. Thank you for hosting us on a Friday afternoon. The Incenter CRA Exchange is really a marketplace that connects lenders who originate Community Reinvestment Act, or as we refer to it, CRA eligible loans, with banks and other financial institutions that need qualified assets to meet their CRA goals. And it's a fragmented business. It always has been. It's one IMB may know a bank to sell a couple of loans to from time to time. Banks are not as good at reaching out to IMBs as they probably should or could be. And so what the marketplace does is we bring in banks all over the country, and we bring in IMBs and we go through their pipelines, and then we say, hey, this bank needs these 20 loans and this bank needs these 30 loans, and so on and so forth. So it's much more efficient under a single mortgage loan purchase and sale agreement, which Lisa's going to talk about, and it creates efficiency, opportunity, commercial economics, and most of all, it creates a driven community lending-based requirement for the community.
Yeah, it's great for communities. It's necessary. And it sounds to me, being on a couple calls with you, the technology by itself would not make this possible. You need the technology and what Watermark TPO is able to bring to the exchange. Lisa, can you talk about the story of how you became involved in this, how you teamed up with Incenter to create this exchange?
Sure. And thanks for having me on the show. I think it kind of started with our alignment around expanding access to affordable credit, and being able to collaborate in that way. And Ralph and team, they recognize that the Watermark TPO team has deep expertise in the secondary marketing execution. So it made us a natural partner, for both of those reasons, to fulfill kind of a clearinghouse role, if you will, in the exchange. So as Ralph mentioned, there's one MLPA, and we serve as the purchaser on the buy side and also the seller on the sell side, and banks can participate in both selling their excess CRA loans or on the buy side, of course, to meet their compliance requirements. And this opens the opportunity for other loan originators in communities to have access to those outlets through the exchange. So we basically fulfill a clearinghouse sort of role, and our initiatives are aligned, expertise was aligned, so it was a perfect fit.
Yeah, that clearinghouse seems like the missing piece right now in the market for lenders to be able to have more certainty that the exchange is going to be fluid and you can count on it. Obviously, it's not just the click of the button. What role specifically does Watermark TPO play in this that makes it a differentiator?
Yeah, it's very much an operational and capital markets role, right? We're integrated with the technology that was on your show earlier, Jamil and E11 Tech, that is detecting the loans that are going to do the matchmaking. And that's integrated with our process to, once we have approved sellers and buyers to participate in the exchange, which there's no cost to participate, then we fulfill that operational role once the matchmaking and trading is taking place on the buy side and the sell side. So with our expertise, we're making sure that we handle the data, the documents, compliance, and those loans flowing in and flowing out. So it should be a seamless experience for both sides of the transaction as we play that operational role and kind of clearinghouse role, as we mentioned.
Yeah, from early discussions, it sounds like you give more control to the lenders in this situation. So that really leads us, Ralph, the landscape today, what's the traditional CRA loan sale, and then how is this exchange different, and how is it more beneficial?
So great question, Michael. So the traditional CRA loan sales often happen through one-off relationships, as I kind of mentioned earlier. A bank maybe reaches out to an IMB or vice versa. Some relationships are created on a national basis, but it's really one-off type of opportunities, because once a bank meets their CRA requirements for the year, then they kind of turn the spigot off, right? So that same bank is not necessarily buying loans all year. So it's in that regard, there can be inconsistencies in pricing and delivery and so on and so forth. Where we differ, again, bringing an exchange model to the marketplace, we've loaded up on buyers, we've loaded up on sellers, we have, we've created frictionless operational opportunities, and we've created essentially what I would call all three economic opportunities in a trade, right? Servicing retained, servicing released, and then in some cases where it is servicing released to the bank, but the bank really doesn't want the servicing, we can also perform a co-issue opportunity and move that servicing away from the bank. So I think in that regard, we cover all of the pricing economics around a trade, and we do it in a very frictionless way, and we're able to rinse and repeat with different depositories throughout the country that are looking for CRA product.
I mean, that's a lot, Ralph. So what kind of scalability does Watermark TPO bring to that, and how does it handle being able to handle it throughout the year and in different regions? I guess a great question for Lisa there, but like how do you feel Watermark TPO is the natural fit for this mission?
Well, throughout this year, 2025, we've been building a simplified, scalable process. Loan sales can be complex, right? The transactions have a lot of moving parts between originators and investors, as Ralph mentioned, especially if a originator is dealing with a multitude of investors, they've got different delivery styles and MLPAs and data requirements. And same on the buy side, as Ralph mentioned, the banks interacting with multiple sellers are now dealing with, just data coming in different ways, the loan files in different shape, et cetera. So by building out a simplified, scalable process where the loans are flowing through Watermark TPO, we've basically normalized, the process on both sides so that it can be efficient and scalable. So we think of it really as a many-to-one as the sellers come in and are able to deliver their loans, and a one-to-many as we sell those loans out into the banks that are seeking that compliance requirement for the CRA, and to deploy capital into those communities, part of their mission as a bank. So creating those win-win relationships on both the buy side and the sell side is really what we're after. We're using the decades of experience the team has through our careers in whole loan and securitization execution, transaction management, through the whole process to really put together what should be a delightful experience for the clients.
And now that you've seen this all come together, Lisa, what are you seeing as the biggest advantage for these community lenders that are starting to come onto the exchange?
I think regularly being able to see what is available to them to price and bring in as their CRA needs ebb and flow. As banks enter into M&A transactions or open branches and other footprints, they suddenly have a need, and they will be able to use the exchange to meet that need, much quicker, I think, than going out and trying to generate relationships and get their foot in the door and be able to have these one-offs, as Ralph described so very well. So
I would add just one thing to what Lisa said, which I think is creates a fluidity to the process. And that is, a bank can post their credit box and pricing box with us today. It can remain the same. It can change. It can change once a day, once a week, once a month, once a year. but it's out there. And we as a sales organization are always able to say, hey, this bank over in, Vermont is looking for these types of 5 loans, right? And we know this rinse and repeat constantly. So operationally and bringing kind of the execution part of it together, it dovetails very well.
Yeah. Our goal is really to provide access, efficiency, and liquidity so that the counterparties can get business done in those communities.
As you're able to provide that efficiency, what makes this more efficient, more compliant to fulfill those CRA obligations for the bank buyers involved?
Yeah, really, as Ralph just mentioned, the technology being able to take in the information from the bank with regards to their requirements in the communities. So that the technology that's plugged into this, the data is not readily publicly available as to these CRA communities and the bank's focus, and also the bank's buy box, as Ralph mentioned. They have particular credit score requirements or product requirements, loan to value requirements, so on and so forth. So really having the technology to make it efficient so that when a buyer comes to the table, the technology is able to detect and alert the bank that we've got loans that meet your need and be able to efficiently make those transactions happen. I think that that's what helps from a compliance standpoint. Now the bank can also go to their regulator and show they've got a specific program that's been established to meet those needs, enhance what they're doing to meet those needs. And it's easy to track, very transparent, and I think should be a slam dunk.
And I think to add to that, Michael,
please.
From what Lisa just said, while we will never get the imprimatur from a regulator, once the word gets out that regulators that are doing these audits of these banks recognize that the bank has now put in the in-center CRA exchange into their policies and procedures to meet their CRA goals, you gotta believe that that's going to be a positive check the box, right?
Yeah.
When you have regulators coming in, what do you do, Lisa, to ensure that the participating institutions are able to maintain that control and that transparency throughout the process?
Yeah, so because they'll be connected into the exchange where we've got our secure portal, they'll be able to demonstrate to the regulators through the transactions they've done, the supporting documentation, how they've set themselves up in the exchange to meet those needs, and then the flow of loans that are eligible. I think it'll make it a real easy way for them to communicate what they're doing, the level of engagement, the commitment to meeting their compliance for CRA. So it's a proactive strategy, right? I think the regulators like to see the banks being proactive in their CRA, statutes.
If you follow my LinkedIn post, I like to push a couple buttons on like what it's going to look like in 2030. So I'll ask you this question, maybe to both of you, but how do you envision this in-center CRA Exchange Platform evolving as the participation grows, and it grows in 26, grows in 27? What's it going to look like in 28 and 29?
You want me to start, Ralph?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Sure. I know from working with our technology provider that having a seamless experience with the loan origination systems on both sides is important. Having a dashboard view of what's going on in the transactions is important. Being able to bid, because I'm sure we'll end up with some overlap of banks that are both looking for that same loan. Just really continuing to evolve on the roadmap that's been set up by the tech company to interact and just bring that experience in a more streamlined, transparent way as it evolves.
Yeah, what I would also add is that, regardless of from one administration to another, the emphasis of CRA remains pretty constant. I mean, one of the requirements for a bank to grow, to go buy another bank, to buy branches over here, is to make sure that they have fulfilled their CRA obligations in their current environment, and then are able to fulfill their expanded CRA requirements as they grow, in terms of states and things of that sort. So I think that's one thing. The other thing is that, when we look at the marketplaces that have evolved in the mortgage market over the last 20 years, I mean, if you want to look to what the future is, just go and look at what the past was, right? So we've seen efficiencies in pricing from technology. We've seen efficiencies operationally in purchasing loans. We've seen other exchanges pop up for different product types, jumbo, non-QM, so on and so forth. So creating these types of marketplaces generally are growth oriented. They thrive on a community setting of buyers and sellers, and it's no different than Amazon, right? You go to Amazon for this product and that product. What is Amazon? It's nothing but one giant marketplace, right?
Yeah. So we know how to get on Amazon, list things on Amazon. I think the big mystery is if you've listened long enough now, I think people want to know, how can lenders and investors get on this exchange? What's the action item? What do they need to do to become part of it?
It's really simple. And as Lisa already mentioned, there's no fee for joining the exchange at all. So it really is an exchange based on trading, right? And it's very simple to get on the exchange. Just reach out to me or Lisa or the several individuals here at InCenter, and we can get the process rolling pretty quickly. Lisa is responsible for all of the counterparty review process. She has a very elegant and efficient way of getting both the seller counterparties and the bank counterparties vetted. And then, of course, like anything, we're vetted by them. I mean, vendor management folks today on every stretch are there to work with you. So it's pretty simple. We're at conferences constantly. I think I have a fairly decent LinkedIn presence. So just reach out and we'll get you on.
That's awesome. Why not? Perfect time of year. This is why we had you on the show. This is something people should know about now. Get ahead of the curve, and really learn it before others start coming on, so you can be better at it and get it really fine tuned for you. I'm excited to see more, introduce more people in my circle to it. It's already been overwhelmingly rejoiced. And so it's certainly needed. It's a great mission you both have. So I want to thank you guys for coming on the show, and let's have you back on, 6 months from now, check in and see how much this exchange has grown and what you guys have learned.
Appreciate that, Michael. Thanks so much. And happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lisa.
Take care.
Thank you.